the world will not evolve me for me, but I can make choices to be who I want to be tomorrow, and the world will probably be okay with it. And I think that's been a really big one for me because I don't just run or play sports, and I don't just do the writing. I don't know what I will do tomorrow exactly, but I know that the world expects a certain thing of me, and if I just do what the world expects of me, I'll never do anything different. But I shouldn't be afraid that if I try something different, that the world can't handle it. It's just that I have to make the first step.
Today I'm here with Alexi Pappas, an Olympic runner and an award-winning actor and writer. She is a Greek national record holder in the 10,000 meters with a personal best of 31 minutes and 36 seconds set at the Rio Olympics. Alexi's memoir and essays, Bravey, was published on January 12, 2021, and was the #1 new release in both the sports and the film categories. How are you doing today, Alexi?
I'm doing well. I am actually in Joshua Tree, which is like a national park a couple hours from where I live in LA. And it's really beautiful outside because it's a little bit overcast, but not like gross, It's really great. How are you?
Good.
Are you at home right now, right?
Yeah. Can you share with us a little bit about your story? How did you become an Olympic runner?
That's a really good question. And I think probably most people, when they think about an Olympian, maybe they think that that person was training for their entire life, which in a way I was, but in a lot of ways I wasn't, because when I was your age, when I was in sixth grade, I really loved all sports. And I also really loved theater and student government and all these things. I liked chasing boys around, and I really didn't find running in particular as a focus until college. And I think that was because before that, I just really liked having fun and I liked team environments. And I didn't really find that in running until college. And when I got to college, I found a team there that felt like it could make a sport like running, which can be painful, fun. And I started to like enjoy the sport. And I think that is when you start to thrive, is when you find joy in what you're doing. And from there, my journey was like really progressive and slow. I think some people are like, whoa, you like suddenly were one of the best in the country your senior year of college. And that's true on paper. But behind the scenes, I was always just trying my best every year and getting a little bit better. It was just nobody really noticed but me and maybe my dad, who I'm very close with myself because I just grew up with a dad. So I guess the long story short of it all is that it was a dream that I sort of had. I thought it would be really special, but it didn't feel possible until I was probably 21 years old or something. And it was really important that I had other things going on when I was your age, because it made me a really, I think, a complete person and also a really healthy, strong athlete, which sometimes can be hard if you're just doing one thing from such a young age.
Yeah, it's interesting how you became more interested and you progressed over the years as you kept pursuing running.
Yeah. And I think that it's really special to hear about your activities. All I've heard about so far is the jewelry and the lemonade stand, but I feel like just that you're feeling curious and that you're also allowing yourself to try different things without, forcing anything. It's really so important, and it's very rare, because I think there can be a lot of pressure to like figure out what you want when you're really young, and that's just not helpful or sustainable, but it's hard to feel that. I don't know. Do you feel like you are, because I haven't been in sixth grade in a long time. And I genuinely wonder, like, does it feel like you can try anything, or does it feel like people are trying to figure out what they want when they're your age? You're like, I want to ask you the questions. You don't ask me. Did you understand the question? Like, do you feel like everyone is trying new things at your age, or do you think people are trying to figure out what they really want?
I feel like everyone's just trying new things at my age.
I hope they never stop.
Yeah, the curiosity. It does fade over the years. I don't know why, but it does.
I think it's that people think that they figure out who they are and that it happens at a certain point and then you're no longer becoming who you are, and that can't be true either, you know. It's it's got to be a process, you know. I feel like a middle schooler now sometimes, okay? Seriously. Like I feel like I'm trying new things and I'm like totally confused sometimes, and I like that feeling. I think it's like quite fun because you really don't know.
That's the best.
It is.
Shall we get in the principle, Shyla?
Yeah. What are your top 3 principles to success?
Top principles?
Top 3
Top
principles.
3 principles. Okay. I think if I had to say some right now, one would be like a like living with the idea that you create yourself, not discover yourself. And I think that is really important because I do feel like when I was young, it was like, who am I? And it was like, it was something I needed to unlock instead of something that I had some decision making control over, could try and patchwork quilt together. So I think that has been really helpful for me to believe and follow. I think the second thing is that this is a newer one, that I am in the dream while I'm chasing it, and that chasing the dream is a part of the dream. And what I mean by that is when I was younger, I used to think that like until I got the goal that I wanted, I wasn't living the dream. It was like the goal itself was the thing. And it was really difficult because it made the whole path there not very fun and putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I remember people telling me that to enjoy the journey. Like we're always told that, right? But it didn't really speak to me. It felt like something I was just being told I didn't understand. And then, is it okay that I'm explaining where these come from?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So then recently I auditioned for something that I really have wanted to do for my whole life. It was Saturday Night Live, and I've always wanted to audition for this TV show, and I knew there was a very slim chance of me getting it, but I still wanted to try. And I was so happy putting together this audition. It was like every day I was excited to put on the costumes and the characters and work on the scripts and call mentors and get advice. And I would go to bed every night really happy and then really sad because I was afraid that I would never have this joy forever and that it wasn't up to me if I got on this show or not. And I thought that's really not, that's something's wrong with this. I'm so happy that I'm sad that it might end. And it was ruining my experience of being happy. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, Alexi, whether you get your goal or not is not really up to you. And if you are going to get it or if you're not, the journey there, like the steps I'm taking, if I'm having integrity, like I'm trying my best, are the same. And so you are in the dream while you're chasing it. That was sort of that moment for me. And it was recent. And now I started having a lot more fun doing things. And I honestly, I'm also, you know, because I know you're an entrepreneur in the making, well, you already are, it made me a more successful businesswoman because, okay, let's say this is getting into the nitty gritty of my creative world, but let's just say I'm in a meeting with a company that maybe wants to like do a movie or TV show together. I think before, when I was chasing the goal only, I was really nervous in these meetings, and I acted like I was auditioning for a job instead of doing the job. And now when I'm in these, they're called pitch meetings, I just sort of behave as though I'm already in the dream until it ends, whenever it is. And I'm getting more work that way, and I'm enjoying it more. But I think for me, saying enjoy the journey just didn't resonate. It just didn't, but saying I'm in the dream while I'm chasing it, or like you are in the dream until it ends, whatever, meant a lot more to me. So I guess that's the second principle. I'm long-winded, huh? I'll try to make the third one short. The third principle, let me think. I think that the world will not evolve me for me, but I can make choices to be who I want to be tomorrow, and the world will probably be okay with it. And I think that's been a really big one for me, because I don't just run or play sports, and I don't just do the writing. I don't know what I will do tomorrow exactly, but I know that the world expects a certain thing of me. And if I just do what the world expects of me, I'll never do anything different. But I shouldn't be afraid that if I try something different, that the world can't handle it. It's just that I have to make the first step. I think those are my three for today.
All right.
It's a
This
lot.
is where we have, this
dense?
is good. No, this is where we have fun with it. We take it a step further and turn them into some practical how-tos.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Yeah. So let's go to the first one. Create yourself.
Okay.
Create yourself and not discover yourself.
Okay. A practical thing of create yourself, not discover yourself would be if you see someone that you admire and there's something about them that makes you feel like you could be a little bit more like them, whether it's somebody likes to use the word rad a lot, or they wear a sweatband all the time. You are just allowed to just adopt that and make it yours immediately. And that's allowed. And it starts to create the patchwork, again, quilt of you that you are creating. So it's not just because you didn't have the impulse inside to think of like, I want to wear sweatbands. If you're take it from somebody else, or you see something in the world that inspires you, it's allowed to be yours.
Does that make sense to you, Shyla?
It just means you can imitate things that you like, little things, big things, and then they're allowed to be yours forever. And then they are allowed to be you if you want.
It's like you have free will to take inspiration from anywhere and really pick and choose what do you want to make part of you.
So do you have anyone that you have ever like copied something from, whether it's like a friend or a singer? Do you have anything that you ever do that's like somebody else? It's okay if there's not something that you think of, but what's that?
Running.
Okay, you run. And you saw someone running and you wanted to try it because they were doing it. I think that's a perfect example of an action that you did that is like creating yourself.
You got a great person to get some running tips on. Maybe we'll have to really get into that after the principles.
Come here, Kingsley. Come here, Kingsley, come here. I guess Kingsley just likes when I'm petting him, so I'm just gonna do that. Come here. There you go. Okay. All right.
I like that. So take all these inspirations, take the free will to really adopt what you choose to.
Mm-hmm.
Anything like that, I know with your jewelry business, I encourage you to look at other companies, because same thing, you can get ideas and really maybe take some parts of it and say, hey, this is actually pretty good. Maybe I can incorporate something like that. Does that make sense? Cool. Any other other practical approaches, Alexi, when you think about this really approach to creating yourself?
I think being like kind to yourself, knowing that the things that felt like you yesterday might feel different tomorrow. And that doesn't mean you were ever wrong. It just means that you are an evolving, growing person. So I think it's, maybe this is less of a, this is like a sub principle or something, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, I guess that just means that you see yourself as someone who is allowed to change, and not know, no matter what age you are. Which, we talked about that in 6th grade. It's very natural to feel like you aren't a fixed person, but it's also very easy to feel pressure from the world to make that solid in cement. And I think that's not very necessary or even like wise. So yeah, maybe that's just a sub principle. What's another, maybe a practical one is like, even if it's not this is so strange, but like looking to nature for inspiration has really helped me in terms of, okay, like there's this example that I was given where I wasn't sure of myself when I was trying something new. I was trying like directing for the first time with actors right in front of me. And I needed a lot of like reassurance from my partner, who's my husband, Jeremy, that it was okay. And I felt kind of weird about needing so much reassurance from him. So I asked my mentor, like, is it okay that I every day I'm like, am I doing okay? Is everything okay? And does it mean I'm not confident if I need to ask for support like that? And you know what my mentor said was that the wolves in the wild, wolves travel in packs and they are so deadly to each other and they could eat each other, right? But how do they feel okay? Wolves are constantly rubbing each other's noses and bumping each other, basically reassuring each other that they're okay. And what my mentor said was like, reassurance is a good and natural thing that we should find from our wolf pack. And that was a really wonderful thing. And I think when we think about creating ourselves, probably we're going to need some reassurance, and to not feel like that reassurance means that there's an issue. It's a good thing. And I think I wish I knew that a lot younger as well, because I always was like, I don't need to ask for support. I should just be okay. And it's like, no, use your wolf pack.
And that would be like your peers.
Your peers. It's whoever feels useful to you. So like maybe in some instances it's your dad. In another instance, it's your friend. In another instance, it's listening to a podcast and pretending like whatever they're saying is directly to you. It's like, it's literally what's useful to you, and that only you can know.
I like that. I like the part you let in about looking to the other inspirations, that it doesn't have to be the obvious stuff. Like we talked about, you got a jewelry business, you want to look at other jewelry companies, but it could be nature. It could be anything. It could be a totally unrelated business that gives you some inspiration that you could pull those parts and use to create yourself.
It's literally whatever's useful to you. Like you could have a dream where you're like, I don't know, I was in a forest and you're like, this isn't real, but it's like, no, if it's useful to you, it's real, That's why we have imaginations. Like, why else do we have these things? If not to like make things up in our own favor and stay on our own team.
Love it. Shall we get into the second principle? Sure. In the dream while chasing it. How did you make that into a practical how-to?
Okay. I love that you're like having me do this, because I definitely feel like when I listen to things, I'm like, but how do I do it? Like, what am I doing? You know? Okay. I think in the dream while chasing it means that, so we're so hard on ourselves. Like, it's so much easier to be like not nice to yourself, I think, or critical. And I have tried to set aside time every day to relish, which is like celebrating whatever it is that day. And how that applies, let's see, specifically. So, how I learned to relish is actually related to running. So, you'll like this. So, when I was in college, I went to this Ivy League school where everyone was super serious and everything was hard and we were busy. And oftentimes we would run all the way to the locker room door, click our watches, not even think, get straight into the shower, go straight to the dining hall, get straight to the library, go straight to, like, we were very robotically transitioning from thing to thing without thinking about it. And our coach stopped us and he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And he drew a line on the ground, like in the blacktop leading to the locker room door, probably like 50 meters between the line and the door. And he said, you're not allowed to run past this line. You will walk and enjoy what you just did, whether it's an easy day or a hard day, or you didn't even run at all and you're just going to the locker room to take a shower. And it was really cool because he basically built in a practice of relishing, and we obeyed it. We didn't run past that line. It was like lore at that point where we were like, if we run past this line, what will happen to us? But I think one practice you can do to realize that you're in the dream while you're chasing it is to relish and pick a routine or a time when you can enforce that, like, time for yourself. It could be before bed. It could be at the end of your run. It could be when you're brushing your teeth. And I think to take a page out of Atomic Habits book, you could build it into a routine you already have. So you're not creating a whole new time of day, but like you're always gonna, need to untie your shoes after your run. It could be that's when you relish. And I think just a little bit of relishing allows us to realize how very special every day is and how we can be proud of ourselves during the process,
So do you understand that one, Shyla?
Not really.
Okay.
So like,
Yeah, I want to be able to explain this. It's like, you should explain though, because my language is.
No, this is fun because, like I said, I've done a lot of these. She's progressing, like she's doing more and more of getting into the interview part. So like relish, it's to like stop and just kind of look at what you've achieved, to just enjoy it, right? When you relish on something, you're just taking a moment to enjoy it. And you're not, you're pausing on what you're doing and the work, like you're making bracelets, right? And it's just, after you built, maybe you had orders of 10, after you've made them, you just stop and enjoy it. Look at your work, what you did. And does that sound right?
Yeah, it's because it can be so easy to not like reflect or think about what you are doing and only do the thing you're doing. And so like a time when you could relish is, like once you complete one of your orders, maybe before you mail it off, you have a time where you spend 2 minutes just like sipping your favorite cocoa or drink and having the piece of jewelry in front of you. And that's it. And whatever comes, but hopefully you're proud of it or you're acknowledging it before it goes off and disappears onto some person's wrist that they're very excited about. So it's literally just probably building in that time that doesn't feel like you're getting anything done because you're not doing anything, but you are feeling good. And that sometimes takes an effort and a permission. Like, I don't know why. Life just sometimes feels very go, 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 maybe you do it already. And that's why this is so, like, maybe you're ahead of us and it wore off for us because we got all these like adult responsibilities. And maybe honestly, you don't need this advice at all and you're already doing it. That's very possible.
What do you think? Are you doing it already?
Yeah.
That's cool. Then we'll take a page out of your book.
I guess you get more time too, or you control your time better than we do.
For sure. I'm sure that's true.
Yeah. Let's get into the third one, why the world won't evolve me. And it sounds like it's around the freedom of making your choices, that you'll do things and it's okay, giving yourself that freedom to do it and not so much getting impacted by what the world wants you to do.
Yeah. So one thing that happened to me sort of recently was, you know, when I was like training for the Olympics, this is like a really, I think, simple thing to share, but it was pretty helpful to me. I used to wear my hair in a high bun. Like that's what everybody knew me for. They would imitate me and wear their hair like mine. And it was really great. And then as my life progressed and things evolved and I still wanted to run, but I wanted it to be different. I just felt that I wanted to somehow change how it felt to me. And for some reason, one day I center parted my hair like this, put these 2 clips in my hair and put it in a low bun. That's it. And it was really, really a simple change that reminded me of being your age. Because when I was your age, I do remember like one day wanting to wear capris and the next day being like, I don't know, I don't like capris. That's okay. I'll never wear them again. Or maybe I will. And one day being like, pink is my favorite color, then blue, then orange. And I remember allowing myself to change. And this is maybe feels like some of the theme of this talk together. But when I got older, I felt pressure because people saw me in a certain way. I was like a girl who wore her bun, and it felt like I had to do that forever because it's what was expected of me. And then I just changed it one day and I felt really good because for whatever reason, it was speaking to me. And I found that the world was just fine with it. And I think I was just afraid that people would be mean or would reject me or say, why are you changing that thing that we know you for? And it wasn't such a big deal. And I know it sounds really silly because I'm just talking about my hair, but I think it could be anything. And maybe I'm just saying that we're allowed to make the first move to change something, even if it's not expected of us. So maybe the practical advice is start small with these changes and let it mean a lot to you if it does. Like for some reason it meant a lot to me. And like maybe one day you'll maybe one day you'll decide that like you're only doing a zigzag part and like that's you. And if it makes you feel good or makes you feel capable, that's a real feeling. I think that's something to acknowledge, is that something really small that makes you feel like capable or happy is like, it's a real feeling. It's not like pretend just because it was just your hair part. It's real. And it's important to let ourselves try those things.
It's like giving yourself the freedom to create.
Yeah, I think so. So I hope that helps practically, just like again, all these things are basically just me thinking about being your age and how I didn't even think about these things when I was your age, but I just did them. So maybe this is all like silly because you are maybe having a different favorite color every day anyway. And I'm the one that was like, I said red was my favorite color. How could I ever change that?
At least you know now. So when you do get older, you don't forget this stuff.
Yeah.
That these are the real things that when you grow up, you have to actually work hard to do.
Yeah. Or like you have to like untrain a little bit of your assumptions. I think that's one really practical thing. Maybe another is that when something changes or we decide something we want to change or evolve, it's also okay and helpful to tell people, like, be honest that, hey, I, would prefer if my nickname is this now, and like to say it will be helpful because people won't know until we tell them. But if we tell them, they'll probably be okay with it. I think that's the main thing, is that we have to communicate with people, and that can be uncomfortable and strange, but it's usually going to turn out okay.
I like that one a lot, that you have some of those things, but you may need to address it to others, and being comfortable doing that. And I think, Shyla, this ties into the one we talked about before about adding the why. We started with the rule in the house where you can't say thank you and sorry without adding the why, because they're transactional words that really don't have meaning just because we use them that way. So if you can tack on the why, now there's some actual meaning to it. So I think same thing, if you want to let others know that there's a certain change that you want to do or you want them to do, be comfortable, like bring it up. Otherwise it's not going to happen. The change is not going to happen. And then add that why component in there to really solidify it. So it's not you're telling people what to do because nobody wants to be told what to do, but there's a real reason why.
Yeah. Well, do you have more organized questions?
We have some. What do you want to do, Shyla? You want to do that? I know we're almost up on time, or you want to get some tips on running. You got a championship runner here that you could probably get the best advice for on your running skills.
I really want to ask you a question, but I won't if you don't want to be asked a question.
That's fine. You can ask me a question.
Okay. I'm just like genuinely wondering, in like the most any sense of the word, like what is your, like, if someone had to be like, what do you want and what feels like the biggest challenge? Is it okay if I ask you that?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you feel like you want? And it doesn't, anything. It could be like anything. And what do you feel like is your biggest challenge?
Probably being really fast at running.
Mm-hmm.
I run every single day during recess. Me and my friend run a lot and chase people for fun.
That's what I used to do.
And we sprint.
That's what I used to do. That was all I did, was recess chasing people. I loved it. I loved chasing boys. Okay. That's what I liked to do. So you're doing it. That's amazing. And you clearly love it. And you have a friend who loves it. And you're doing it at recess. So like, it's not super serious, which is great because recess is, it's like perfect. And what do you feel like, and it could be related to running or not, is like, what's challenging or what's hard, what's on your mind? Like, or does nothing? Are you like, I'm good. Could be anything. Go ahead.
Sometimes I feel like something bad will happen if like I try too hard or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a real fear. That line between like pushing yourself hard and not knowing what's safe is super like unknown, right? The funny thing is like our bodies have like so many protective, they protect you. So they're probably gonna indicate pain and things that like are there, but hopefully won't let you go over the top in a way that you have to be afraid of. And if you want to keep running, eventually maybe you'll have a coach eventually. I don't know that makes it's later. And the good thing is that those coaches can help you. They can see you in a way that they will help you not go over the top, which is really, really cool. It's a really special thing when a coach can do that for an athlete so that you feel totally safe trying your best. That's the best feeling in the world when you're like, I know that this person will keep me safe. I think that fear is real. And it hopefully, you might learn the hard way too, but you'll hopefully always be okay. Like I've peed my pants during race, and I've passed out, it can happen, but usually your body keeps you safe more than you think it will, but that just means you're someone who knows she's trying her best. And you're like, where's this going to lead? It's kind of cool.
How do you become a fast runner?
Good question. Well, I think that the first thing to recognize at your age, especially, is that you are growing so much, and that is the most important job you have right now, is to be a growing, healthy person. So I think the most important thing to recognize is that doing whatever it takes to just grow into yourself, which just, when I was your age, someone told me I was going to be really short because my mom was short. And I was like, what do I do? And they were like, drink a lot of calcium and sleep a lot. So I was doing a lot of that at your age. And then the way to have, to be fast, I think, is to compare yourself to yourself, and always personal bests are the best. To be your best self is the best thing, because at your age, especially, everyone is growing at these different rates. So someone might be really fast today, and then in a year, they're going through a total growth spurt and they have to stay home because they have growing pain. Everyone is doing this yo-yo thing. So focus on your progress and that enjoyment, because our cells, okay, here's a really fun thing. Our cells are like the cells in your body, every cell, they're like bouncy balls. And when you're happy and thriving and enjoying what you're doing, and you're, eating the good food and all that, your cells are big, full bouncy balls, and you're really buoyant and you're going to do it. And when they're unhappy or they're not nourished for whatever reason, they become kind of like raisins. They actually shrink. When you're afraid, or this is why when someone gives you a food you hate, you're like, oh, I don't want to eat it. And so I think as much as you can imagine putting yourself in an environment to be a big, nice, bouncy ball, you will be like a kangaroo out there. You will bounce, and you'll be able to handle the hard parts because you'll have so much bounciness in you. And I know that's a kind of an image to imagine, but I think the key is you're growing. Remember, you're growing. Remember to keep it fun, seriously, because it's a painful sport at times, and you need to have that smile, And I think 3, know that pain is not forever. Because when I was your age and races hurt, I would be really upset, and then it would go away. And it was a really confusing thing for me. And I remember talking to my dad, and I was like, I didn't like the pain. I didn't like it. I didn't understand it. And he was always like, you're going to be okay. And I was always okay. So I think, hopefully that helps, and, change your shoes often. You don't need too much mileage. Keep it on soft surfaces if you can. If you can run on mud and dirt and grass, that's helpful.
Those are great trips.
I hope
probably some stretching would be good for you.
Sure. Stretch when you're done.
You want to wrap things up, Shyla?
You have a burning last question?
Thank you for being with us. Is there any way that people could follow you, for the people that want to know?
Yes. Thank you for having me. My Instagram is just at Alexi Pappas, which is ALEXI PAPPAS.
Thanks again.
Thank you.